Friday night, so typically waiting for my food to either rest or get here or something, but had crab legs, king crab legs, scallops and sherry cream sauce, and I was hungry and I didn't want that stuff to get cold. This stuff gets cold pretty quick. I did want to talk about two wines I've had recently and just give sort of an update. So yesterday, we'll just start with the one I had from yesterday. This Chardonnay Shale and Stone from Frog's Leap 2018. I don't even know that the vintage matters all that much because Napa's vintages since 2003 that I can remember have been great, minus 11, and I think there's another vintage in there that's not amazing, but still great. Still great, just not as great as some of the other ones recently. This Chardonnay I bumped up from a 4 to 4.5, and it's not often a wine on the back label will describe itself and be exactly what they say it is. But I think that's what the nice thing about Frog's Leap is. They have such identity, and I looked up their wines. They don't have any other Chardonnays. This is their Chardonnay. They have a Petit Syrah, they have a Sauv Blanc, they have even a more intense Sauv Blanc. I would love to try that one. So I've not been a fan of California Sauvignon Blanc, but maybe Frog's Leap does it a little bit different. I typically like my Sauvignon Blanc from Polyfumé, Sauvignon Loire, Polyfumé, and Sancerre, and sometimes New Zealand. If I'm into that super grassy, grapefruity thing, I want the New Zealand super fresh. To me, that's more summer, where I'll drink the other ones, Sancerre, Polyfumé, all year long with sushi specifically, but certainly goes with seafood. It went really great with the uni, I think. The old vine Sancerre I bought from Princeton Corkscrew has got to be one of my favorite Sauvignon Blancs I've ever had. But I really highly recommend this. It's sub $30. I think I got this for like 26. This is just purity of Chardonnay and of they're organic. They just let the fruit, whatever the fruit's going to show, it's going to show. They don't do too much. A lot of the times Chardonnay gets over manipulated into being oaky or something else. This is just trying to be pure and have a sense of identity. And I think Frog's Leap does a really good job as a winery in California that just has a great sense of identity. So I highly recommend this Chardonnay, or anyone that wants to try a white wine, or specifically if you don't like Chardonnay, I would absolutely recommend this. I would not know this is Chardonnay. And this went amazing yesterday with my dinner. It's going amazing today it went amazing today with my crab legs and the scallops. It's just an accompaniment. So it's not getting in the way of the food. It's enhancing the food with its acidity. There's no oak in there to get in the way. Clean and pure. What else can I say about this wine? Really good. Nice find. Well, it's not even a find. It's something I've wanted to try, just for some silly reason I just didn't. But the other one I wanted to talk about is this Leviathan. And I wanted to hate it. I really did. And I know that sounds silly, but I did want to hate it because it's a goofy label and everything, but I did a little bit more research, and it's... Now I already forgot the blend. It is a red blend. It's mostly Cabernet, but there are other great varieties in there. They are going for a deeper, darker flavor profile, but this wine's very good. It is $29, so it's a good wine. I just didn't want to like it, and I like it. Do I like it more than the Obsidian, which I have right here too? Which is my king of $30 California Red. I really would have to decant both of these 2 hours and then do a drink off and just see. I think out of those four I had that one night, these were the two that stood out. And I've had it last night with some cheese. I have some cheese here, but it's just a good wine, and it's got layers of flavor. It's good. Delicious factor and depth and layers of flavor. It's not just one-dimensional, which is what I was sort of afraid of it might be. So I have some cheese here. some aged Havarti, which is one of my favorites. Prima Donna being my other favorite, which is sort of a blend of Parmesan and Gouda. That's what it tastes like. Historically, people have just said red wine and cheese, right? Red wine and cheese, red wine and cheese. Ironically, white wine is supposed to be the better pairing with cheese because of the acidity. So cheese has a lot of fat. Fat needs acidity to cut through it. So ironically, cheese goes amazing with white wine. Softer whites maybe. Maybe a super hard cheese might not go great with white, but I'm not sure. I don't really eat a lot of the super hard cheeses anymore. They kind of are very intense. Sort of like the medium firm, I guess, is what I would call it. So, I know this wine goes great with, I've been eating this wine for a few years, with whites and reds. I mean, it sort of refreshes the palate as the cheese is in there. I still think red and cheese works really, really well. I just can't do a ton of it. If I'm in the mood for a lot of cheese, I could do it with more white wine. If I'm in the mood for a little bit of cheese, I could do it with red wine. Don't have a preference, but I do typically eat cheese with red wine. There's no rule to it except that high acid wine cuts through fat. On that, you would think, well, why not steak then? For whatever reason, the protein in the steak, the robustness of the steak, the flavor of a steak, even though it's a higher fatty food, just goes better with red. Doesn't work with white. They claim champagne works. I've never tried it. They claim champagne works with all food types. I stick champagne in a bucket and I have it with certain things. Most definitely I've never had it with steak. I always go red wine with steak, and I do like a bold red wine. Bordeaux, California, Australia, Spain. I don't really do Argentina all that much, but I could. Some good Malbecs are made in Argentina. I don't think the less expensive ones are super well made, but I do believe the mid-priced and higher-priced Malbecs are really good and getting more restrained and have a lot of character to them, and I do enjoy those. They're a little less fruit bomby jammy as some of the Argentine Malbecs were for a bit, but I think they've gotten away from that. I think a lot of the world's gone away from that. Even Australia's gone away from that overly fruit bomby thing and going for more elegance and class and sense of place. So, I mean, it goes great with both. It really does. I do love cheese. I do love wine. Probably one of my favorite pairings on this planet. So, talk a little bit about nothing and everything. I don't talk about pairings all that much, except with the uni, but probably finish off this white. Leviathan's got a little bit left. I'm not quite sure what the next video will be. I was watching one of my older videos where I did under $12 cabs, and it was a failure, a miserable failure. And then I did one of, I think, under $15 other reds. Tarima Hill was the one that won that one. The Tarima Hill Monastrell, $12 or $13 wine. That wine's fantastic for the price. One of the best wines you can get for the price. And then it made me think about another tasting I can do, especially the weather's getting a little colder. Red wine absolutely is in season. So I was just thinking of going to the store and just buying some wines in a certain price point. I did those $30 ones and they were all great. I'm not quite sure what the theme will be, but I'm definitely going to do it soon. Maybe I just need an idea. I'll walk through the store and get an idea. I kind of want to do the whole... Well, that Cabernet episode was from different parts of the world, but I don't think I picked... That was price point, though. I would like to do one maybe of a price point and region in the world, so not just California, but then France, and then Argentina, and maybe Australia. If I could find a Spanish cab at that price, I think there's one. I forget the name of it right now, but there is a Spanish Cabernet that is definitely sub 15 bucks. Haven't had it in a long time. And I don't know if Cabernet is going to be the grape of choice, but something. But those tastings were fun. And I wanted to be where I'm spitting it and the whole bit, and then maybe at the end open up something a little bit better and just see how the comparison is. I always used the $2 Chuck in the past as sort of a baseline bad cheap wine. I remember the one video I had Sterling Cab at 12 bucks, and the cab from $2 Chuck Trader Joe's, which is $3 now, and they were equally bad. And I said either one of these is terrible. But I do believe at that price point the cabs are just dreadful at 30. So you get much, much, much better wine. Not much, but you get real wine. Those didn't even taste good when I was rewatching that video. So I know I still wanted to do something like Cab Franc from California, Cab Franc from Loire, and like pick a grape variety and then do it from a few places in the world. Maybe use the Coravin and do it that way. We'll see. We'll see. Frog's Leap, totally sidebar. Frog's Leap has a Petite Sirah, and I used to absolutely love Petite Sirah. I think Petite Sirah is a very delicious, it's a small berried grape, but it's very tannic and very bold. It almost pours like engine oil. I think I had a Ridgeback Petite Sirah, and it absolutely looked like engine oil. Probably the darkest one I ever had. I think it was 16%, super intense, absolute steak wine. And that was it, unless you did a super intense cheese. But it was super cool, and I used to love, love, love Petite Sirah. And then the prices sort of went up. I still do love Petite Sirah. If Carlisle has them, I always buy them. I used to buy them also from Robert Piali. They have really good ones. Royal Punishers is one in the 35, or I think it's like sub 40 now, 38-ish. Gerard's a $30 one that's pretty good. You don't see as many though. But it made me think that the Frog's Leap has one, just very difficult to find. I would love to try it. I wonder if they add restraint to a grape that's very difficult to restrain because it becomes so tannic and so viscous, because that's just the nature of a Petite Sirah. So we shall see. The name kind of, Petite Sirah, I think it's a small Syrah. No, it's just a grape. And it's just means a small grape. And Syrah is one of its parents. The other parent, and I'm blanking. The other name for it is Durif. Oh, Caymus makes one called Grand Durif, which is awesome, 60-something bucks. That wine is amazing, super huge, $60-ish range. Great alternative to Cabernet or steak wine. That wine's awesome. And it's Petite Sirah, but it's called Durif. Pelersian and Syrah, I think, is what are the parents to Petite Sirah. Not 1,000% sure. God, this video is now talking about Petite Sirah. 13 minutes in, we started with a Chardonnay and a California Chard and a California Red. Anyway, these things happen. So, see what the next video becomes, or next themed video. I'll continue doing these videos talking about the wines I'm drinking, but I would love to do another tasting video, and where I'm actually just tasting, not just drinking, and see how it goes. Haven't done one in a while, so I do know there's one video I specifically want to do. Like, I recommend these wines video. So Tarima Hill, the Ribera del Duero wine that's got the red label that I think is great, and it's from the Tempranillo grape. I think California, if I could find something in the $25 range, I'm going to shoot for $25-ish of wines I think are 25 or less. They're absolutely worth buying. I'm sure Chianti Classico Reserva or Chianti Classico will be in there. Absolutely. Those are very good bargain wines and made really well with certain rules that govern them, that make them, force them to be pretty high quality in the Sangiovese grape. But you have to kind of be in the mood for it. Probably avoid Pinot Noirs. I don't know any Pinot Noir in that lower price range that's really good. 20 bucks. I'd go with the Louis Jadot baseline Bourgogne. So maybe that one's in there for a Pinot Noir. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll try to find a bunch of different grapes and styles, a light, a medium, and a dark. Maybe that's what I'll do. I think that's actually the best idea. and in all those types of categories, the wines I would recommend, and then do a tasting of them on camera. Those are all the wines I would drink, though, so I wouldn't spit those out. I'd probably either Corbin them or just open a bunch and just drink them over the next bunch of nights. But I'm going to finish off this wine and cheese. Happy Halloween. Have a good night.